Hi, everybody. It's Milteer, Blonde Warrior for Solutions, and I'm so happy you're here with us today. We have someone really extraordinary with us, and you're going to want to take a lot of notes. Her name is Phyllis Ginsberg, and she's affectionately known as the Survival to Thrive Expert. She is a leader, literally, in catalyzing personal transformation in our crazy world. And she's an international speaker. She's a best-selling author with this book, Brain Makeover. She has been a therapist for 30 years, so you know she's heard a lot. And she literally can spark genuine transformation in countless individuals who desire to rise above mere survival in the world and actually thrive in the face in life's challenges. Now, she's been featured in a lot of great places like the Courage to Continue documentary. She's been in Women's World, CNBC, Parade Magazine, Health and Wellbeing Magazine, and a lot of others. And we're going to get ready and introduce her in a second. And I do want to tell everybody here on our grassroots network that we literally do this out of love for everybody. There's links below that you can donate and help us pay for particularly all the technology. And I do have a gift for you, and it's called 5 Types of Energy. And this 5 Types of Energy is literally 5 small videos that you can see that will help you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially sort of get on the right track, use your energy currency in ways that will help you. Also, you can always find out about me at milteer.com, and that's Milteer. Phyllis, it is so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, I am so excited to be here and to share our conversation with your audience.
Well, I'm really happy about that because I read your book, and that's why I wanted to interview you. Brain Makeover, a weekly guide for happier, healthier, and more abundant life. So I noticed in this book that you talk about that the brain doesn't know the difference between thinking about something and actually doing it. And that was fascinating to me. So let's talk about what impact does this have on people who feel scared about the challenging times that we're going through, because we are going through them.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. We are going through challenging times. There isn't a whole lot of predictability and stability. There's a lot of people who are really struggling right now. And at the same time, the collective, the masses, I want to say the smart, capable, working, functioning people that I work with, I encounter, they are caught up in the fear, worry, stress, and anxiety of what's going on, even though they are okay in this moment. Every moment they can say, I'm not struggling, I'm not suffering, I know where my next meal is coming from, I have a bed, I have a home. So they're living as if they're in survival mode, but they're really okay. And so when your thoughts get caught up in all the stuff that's going on out there, all the things that could go wrong, worst case scenario thinking, like our brains were designed to look for problems so that we could stay alive. But in today's society, if we focus so much on that, that's what we're looking for. And that's what shows up in our lives. And eventually, we probably will encounter some kind of mishap.
So you're so right. Our audience is primarily entrepreneurs and business owners, and I do a lot of personal coaching and group coaching with them, and that is a theme that we're definitely paying attention to. Is the I call it doomsday scenarios. The whole economy is going to crash. The money's going to crash. There's going to be solar storms. There's going to be blackouts that'll go forever. I mean, it just goes on forever. And even now, if you happen to be on social media and you happen to see reels, the programming of doomsday is so strong. Like one of the big themes now that I'm noticing, and a lot of people have noticed, is in The Simpsons, the cartoons.
Uh-huh.
talking about all their predictions over the years of things that could happen that have actually happened, and all the bad things that they say are going to happen. And even though I watch that with an intention of amusement momentarily, occasionally when someone points it out, it affects me. It affects that long-term, deep-seated internal confidence that we're supposed to have about life. And it gets overshadowed because, well, am I prepared, for this? And I will honestly tell you, Phyllis, since I grew up on a ranch and a farm and that kind of lifestyle, I mean, we were prepared for everything. I mean, we grew our own food. I mean, we were completely self-sufficient. We had wells, we had backup generators. Uh, it was amazing. And now, I live in Virginia Beach, Virginia. There's none of that. I mean, but you can still prepare. But let's talk about after you've prepared. Let's talk about how the brain works, that you can, I don't want to use the word trick it, but convince it that it's okay now, because now is all there is.
So if you have doubt and fear, right, you're looking at enough news to know what's going on, right? Like you've limited things to where you're just taking a peek. You're not flooding yourself, marinating in 24/7 news, waiting to see what the next thing, where's the next shoe going to drop and what's going to happen. But you've got yourself to a place where you've taken whatever necessary steps to give you comfort. So you've got extra water and food, and you know your neighbors, and if there's something that's going to happen, we're all going to be in this together, right? But in the meantime, the more that you can say to yourself, I'm okay right now, all is well. In this very moment, I have everything I need. Because even us sitting here right now, and you're sitting here listening to us, what do you need that you don't have? And reinforcing that, even if it's moment by moment, to bring down some of that anxiety. That's how you teach the brain.
Do you have, I've done a lot of study on habits. So what is your thoughts about how long it takes the brain to sort of repattern itself before it accepts the new or stronger message you're attempting to give it?
So it takes 18 seconds or more, roughly 18 seconds, to begin to build long-term memory. So that's one piece. But in terms of changing habits, so if you're like putting new information in to build neural pathways, 18 seconds begins to lay the foundation. Long term, you want to start a new habit, that could take 66 days or more, up to 2 years, and even beyond that, to really change an ingrained habit. I like to say, if you're going to make some changes, your thoughts versus your actions would be the best place to start. If you can get the thinking straight, the actions will take care of themselves.
Absolutely. I always recommend to people, if you're wanting to go on a new eating plan or exercise plan, that you should spend at least, I say 21 to 28 days just visualizing, doing affirmations, sort of preparing yourself, seeing yourself doing this, so that you have really done a lot of work in your brain. By the way, one of my books is called Success is an Inside Job. So I totally, for me, what works, and we learn visually, auditorily, and kinesthetically, and everybody learns differently. But if we can see ourselves or start imagining ourselves, and one of the things I talk about is using this process called I remember. and I start talking about how I remembered changing this habit and changing my physiology and how I was doing this and that and the other. And uh, that has been very helpful for me. And I just get up in the morning and start writing the story as if it's already happened about something I want to do. So for example, this morning I got up and I started writing how I remembered I have this really huge speaking engagement coming up. And it's months away, by the way, but I'm already remembering how great that went. And instead of being afraid of, oh, am I going to be able to fly? And, is anybody going to show up? And, all those kind of things that a business person can be fearful of before a speech. I'm just now laying down the tracks in my brain of a, what I call an image of success that will stick. And I've not heard about the 66 days or the 2 years. I've always actually heard about a 28-day pop and a 21 days and 28 days.
Right. Well, there's research that came out while I was writing my second book, Tired and Hungry No More, that I originally had 21 and 28 days. And then I came across this research about the 66 days. I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense, because hardly anybody changes a habit in 21 or 28 days. The neural pathways, and especially if you've been doing the same thing for decades, it's just not going to happen. Not with ease, unless you are so ready for it and you've got that picture of who you are on the other side.
I completely agree with you. I am fierce in my programming when I start programming myself, but this is what I do for a living. So this is very different to compare yourself to someone who's, suddenly decided, I really should quit cigarettes after I've been telling myself for 20 years I need to quit cigarettes. It's not going to be that easy. And primarily because the first time you get stressed, all your willpower completely goes out the window. There is no willpower. You go into survival, and survival will do anything to reduce your stress, right?
Right. And you count on willpower to get you through to do anything long term.
Right. That is correct. Because again, uh, we will all justify why one more cigarette or one more this or one more that is not going to make a difference, but it just reinforces our existing things. And I'm you're a therapist, which is very impressive. So you deal with people really long term about this. So would love if you is it in your book where I can look up that 66-day thing? I'd love to know more about that.
Uh, in Tired and Hungry No More,
Okay, I'm going to definitely read that book. You'll have to
that
hold
book.
that up for it. Have you got that book in front of you? You can hold it up real quick. It just
Uh, I do.
because hey,
There we go.
who doesn't need to have this book, Tired and Hungry No More? Okay, excellent. Thank you, Phyllis.
Yeah. So, and it is not your ordinary guide to reclaiming your health and happiness. It's got some great stuff in here on mindset in the beginning, because you're right. If you don't get your brain on board, like I like to say, before you start something new, it's like your subconscious is just trying to keep you safe. You're going to be in self-protective mode for whatever reason, whether you feel safer in a bigger body, or you name it. There's like a million and one reasons why we can't accomplish what we want, and it isn't always logical or rational.
Exactly. So speaking of logical and rational, that leads right into my next question, which is, how does fear and worry so contribute to the challenges that everybody faces, whether it's breaking habits or, whatever you're doing in your life, running a business and all of a sudden you're afraid of the economy. And what are some of the common manifestations of these emotions by having these negative emotions on your outcome?
So when we're stuck in fear and worry, I'd like to think of the fear and worry path. What we really get are a production of stress hormones. And when we are in high stress, chronic stress, fight or flight, and we've got adrenaline and cortisol running through our body, we're in survival mode. And guess what? We don't think about things. We don't have an expanded view. We have a very narrow focus of staying safe and alive. Well, most of us aren't in life and death threatening situations, but we are functioning as if we are. And that does a huge disservice because now we're in reactive mode. We don't have blood flow and the chemistry to think broadly. Like if you're on what I call the happy path, you could even be on a neutral path, which would be much better than stress and fear and worry and anxiety and all of that. But let's say the happy path, now you're running the feel-good hormones. And when you're running feel-good hormones, you're more open, you're calmer, life just flows better. It's all this research that was done on happiness to demonstrate the benefits. But from a brain standpoint, what I've discovered, people can access their wisdom, discernment, adequate judgment, the ability to know. You think of like hearing about women's intuition. Well, everybody's got intuition, that gut reaction if you pay attention. But when you're in high stress and worry and fear, you're feeling all kinds of things and it's not going to be intuition. But when we can calm down things, slow it down, that's when we can take deliberate action. We can know what we're doing, plan ahead. We have the ability to see opportunities. Life just flows a whole lot better.
Oh, it absolutely does. I always say, worry is like a rocking chair. It gets you, gives you something to do, but gets you nowhere. I mean, my grandmother told me that actually many years ago. And at the time, I'm 16 thinking, whatever. But now, I start to realize, that really is true. Worry does give you something to do, but it actually depletes you. It erases potential solutions, actually. Okay, so let's also talk about, explain the core principles of happiness, since you brought that up, and how being happy can bring positive change and how people could be happier. I think everybody seeks that. I mean, they think they're seeking money and prestige, but they're really, particularly entrepreneurs and business owners, this is our group of people. We're looking for the money to bring that security and relaxing. But then we're always worried, is the money, going to go away or times get bad? And then what happens? And we have all these people that we're supporting. We're the, entrepreneurs are really the supporters of the economy because of the fact that, they risk themselves every day. I always think of entrepreneurs as cowboys in the sense of we risk ourselves to go out in the wild, wild west every day and, find a path to create things. So let's talk about like the core principles of happiness.
So happiness, I already mentioned, has a lot of research from positive psychology, and it shows that people who are happier, they do make more money, they're healthier, they're easier to get along with. I'm sure anybody would agree. Like you'd much rather deal with a happy coworker, client, relative, like you name it, anybody. Give me somebody who's happy, and it goes a whole lot better. The happy piece that people get backwards is I'll be happy when. And if you can be happy now, like even if you have, because I work with lots of people with severe health issues, life and death, all kinds of like severe, we're talking survival issues. if you could be happy with a diagnosis that's not pleasant, if you could be happy with your situation, even though it's not ideal, it will help you get out of it and shift to something else a whole lot quicker and easier than if you're in fear and worry, stress and anxiety. And being happy also boosts your immune system, gives you more energy. Like you have the ability to function a whole lot better.
So my belief is that happiness actually comes from two emotions, which is gratitude, appreciation, and being grateful, gratitude, appreciation of exactly what you have the second, is looping back to what you said earlier about being happy right now and finding those things that you can be grateful for. Um, in what do you feel about the grateful and appreciative aspect of this?
So gratitude has been a big, like a big topic over the, I don't know, Oprah probably made it a big thing many decades ago. And there's a really great benefit to tap into things you're grateful for. I like to take things a step further and personalize it. So like week one in my book, Brain Makeover, the weekly reading has to do with keeping a happiest moment of the day journal. Because if you're going to write down 3 to 5 things that make you happy, you as an individual, personal to you, what are you going to spend your day doing? You're going to be looking around like, oh, wow, the sun's out. I feel sunshine on my face. That makes me so happy. I'm writing that down. So now you've shifted not only to some happiness, you focused on happiness, but you've also gravitated away, even if it's only for a moment, you've interrupted the pattern of fear, stress, worry, and anxiety.
I do believe it's true when the research that says that literally you can only think of one thing at a time. And of course, what you focus on expands. And being a business owner, I know I can go, from 0 to 100, when a problem pops up from, okay, everything's going well to everything has just, hit the skids. And the realization of all the scrambling we have to do to put things back together. Uh, I do have meetings with my staff that we usually try to start off with, well, I'm happy that problem didn't accelerate, or we do our best to sort of make fun of it. We also have comparisons, like we have a certain city that we completely bombed in. I mean, we didn't even sell a book there at one time, and it was just a very odd experience. Our big joke is, well, at least it wasn't a blah blah city that did that. And then we laugh. And the whole thing of humor is
Mm-hmm.
so powerful on breaking the spell of doom and gloom. So I often, with my friends, will joke with them when they're all in their gloom and doom. Oh, pity party me. All the bad things have happened to me in life. And I'm like, trying to make fun of them to get them to laugh. And once you can get people to laugh, it does break the spell. So I
Mm-hmm.
think humor is something we should look forward to more. Um, I learned many years ago never to watch the news at night before you go to sleep, because your subconscious mind then turns it all night long. It's like cooking it in a pot. And then you wake up the next morning feeling completely off and not feel good about yourself. So, any other suggestions you want to add to this little uh, joyful pile of
Suggestions? Yes, looking for the good. So you had an event that just bombed. You didn't sell one book, but if you look closely, and maybe it takes a moment, right? Like getting over the shock of, we didn't do very well here at all. Like we totally bombed, but one of the good things might be I made a really good connection and I have a new speaking engagement because of it. Or my team and we looked at what didn't work here and we revamped something, and that's going to make the next event so much better. Like there's always something we can learn if we have a learning mindset instead of a failure mindset.
So as a professional speakers, I hang around other professional speakers, and all professional speakers have one bomb. I mean, at least one. And we actually thank you for articulating that so well, because we actually try to do that. Okay, well, nobody bought any books, but this happened. And so, yeah, actually, even in that event where we did realize, I accepted a speaking engagement for, people who were not entrepreneurs. They weren't quite ready for all the self-responsibility. They were employees. And I'm pretty much a kick people in the butt, gets going. And, we certainly did understand they weren't entrepreneurially oriented. So we don't accept those gigs anymore because
So,
I'm not the right speaker.
right, big learning.
Yeah, that was great learning. And we still joke
Anybody,
about it.
yeah, anybody who's in business for themselves or an entrepreneur, I don't care whether you're, you started your own business, you're an author like me, you're in network marketing. It is a personal growth journey. It is not for the faint of heart, and it is so different from employees who have a steady paycheck and don't have to rely on their wits or their own inspiration or whatever you might call that dream that we all are pursuing. It's just a different walk of life.
Yes, we jokingly, we talk to people, well, the people who listen to my information are all business owners, all entrepreneurs, or creatives. So we have artists who, are marketing their own work. So they're entrepreneurs. And uh, you're absolutely right. People who have a security system and systems of this is what you do every day, they don't focus on the long term or the visionary or who's paying the bills or if we lose a big client, what happens. They don't focus on any of that. They have a specific amount of things. And at the end of the day, they get to go home and not think about this and not worry about it. It's not their problem. They can get another job, where we go home and like, there is no day off for an author or a speaker or people who run a business, because in the back of your mind, your subconscious mind is scanning the landscape of your reality, making decisions. So thank you for that. So the next thing I wanted to ask you was, what are some of the steps that individuals can take to shift from fear and worry? uh, what are some of the processes you would like to share with them that they can do that just by being aware? I like to call them anchors sometimes. Remember to do this if you feel that.
Yeah, so if you're in fear and worry, stopping, noticing, acknowledging, like the worst thing to do would be to override it and say some affirmation that you don't believe. That is the worst you can do, because now you're creating more stress. Like the body's not buying it. So
That's true.
if you don't first acknowledge, and journal writing is one of the best ways to do this, just acknowledging like, I'm scared, I'm really worried about whatever, uh, I've got anxiety, it is a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10. You might find that just writing like 2 sentences describing exactly what the scenario is will calm it down, because you've named it and now it doesn't have as much power over you.
I like that.
And then you can, if you need, you can do more writing and see if you get some clarity, what else comes up for you. The other piece, once you get through that, would be completing the sentence, I would rather feel, or I prefer, and whatever your outcome is, because the feeling is always attached to something. It's not just the feeling, right? Something happens that we make meaning of. So I'd prefer to have a different outcome and make new meaning out of whatever the situation is.
I like that. I would rather, or I would prefer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, what are some other things, when there's so much adversity going on today, and every part and area of our life, from financial to stability of, even our countries, and, the direction it's going, and just all those kind of worries, and in the face of adversity, uh what are some things people could start adding to, besides the writing? What are some other things people could do to, I would say, wake them up and be present in the moment, instead of, the fear mongering, scary self-talk that they're giving themselves?
So I think of having mental resilience.
Yes.
And I've got 4 characteristics that go with that. The first one we talked about, which was happiness. Focus on finding happiness, things that make you happy. Integrate that into your life throughout the day. Like, just notice, that first sip of tea or coffee in the morning makes me happy. Feels so good. That warmth. Whatever it is, maybe you text somebody in the morning and you say good morning, and they send you a heart back and like, oh, I feel loved. That makes me happy. Right? Or you send somebody some love and make them happy, and they reply back with some emoji that, you have a connection that makes people happy. It doesn't matter. It's super simple. The next is flexible. Like someone who has mental resilience has the ability to adjust to different circumstances. And I'm going to read this definition. This is what I have in my next book called Empowered You. Having flexibility is adapting to different circumstances or dealing with changes. Flexibility includes considering what is possible, gaining a new perspective, and being open to something different. In order to practice flexibility, you might have situations in your life, but if you are like most people, well, maybe not entrepreneurs, but most of us, for the majority of our life, we are on autopilot. And so we might purposely choose to be flexible, and maybe we sit in a different chair when we're having our meal, and we get a different perspective, a different view from sitting on one side of the table versus the other. Or we go experience something new, try a new restaurant with some new food you've never had. Like, put yourself in positions to pursue an interest or a hobby, or try something different, just for flexibility, to break the pattern of being on autopilot and doing the same routines every day.
I'm so happy you said that. I just attended a lecture, a health lecture actually, from someone who talked about that specifically. And he said he was right-handed, and he said, I get up every morning now and I brush my teeth with my left hand. And I deliberately in the morning do something out of sequence of the autopilot that I have gotten into, that I wasn't even aware I was into. And yet he jokingly said, God forbid somebody break my rhythm, because then I feel all this I feel irritable at them. And so now he said, I realized, life is breaking your rhythm every day with just, the news. So he said, I'm deliberately doing these things, exercising at different times, trying different foods, going out with different people socially to just listen and open my brain to, new opportunities. So I love that you said that. And what was the next one that you have?
Yeah, so the next one is being patient. And being patient is the ability to wait, accept, or tolerate frustration, delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry, upset, or quitting. That's a tall order.
Yeah, I can honestly tell you entrepreneurs in general are not really patient people. In general, we suffer all those things.
So it's the ability to stay calm while waiting either for your turn or for an outcome. And the more that we push, and this is one of the things that I noticed in my career as an author over the last decade, is that the more that I tried to make something happen, the worse I felt, the worse results I got. I was thinking, well, I'm getting all this advice. I need to be doing what they said I have to do. And over the years, I have gravitated toward tuning in to what's right for me and my people, and being able to stay calm and taking inspired action because I was patient to wait for the right moment to do the right thing. And that's where patience can come in as an entrepreneur and a business owner. You can, run their hair on fire, like a chicken with its head cut off. And you're not going to feel good. Even if you reach that success moment, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm cooked. I can't celebrate this moment because I gave it my all. I put way too much into it.
Well said. I know for myself and many of the personalities of the entrepreneurs I work with, we have great expectations. Uh, Entrepreneurs and business owners are huge lifetime learners. I mean, they are seriously hungry for knowledge. And that's that's got a good side and it also has a downside, because the good side is we're open, we're flexible. One of the jokes that happens with entrepreneurs, we'll go to a big event and there'll be all this information shared. So all entrepreneurs come home, meet with their staff and say, okay, we're changing everything and we're going to do this, 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 and this. And the staff's rolling their eyes like, oh my gosh, this is going to last only a short time. And, this, a lot of hesitation and resentment, all those things. I have learned to come home and review what I've learned and pause. And really, as you said, I loved when you said inspired action. I asked myself, is this really the highest and best for me to enact on some of these ideas, and particularly marketing ideas? What works for some people doesn't work at all for others. And a business owner often goes to events and thinks, well, this particular information you gave us will work for everybody. That's not necessarily true. And it causes great pain and frustration and unhappiness because entrepreneurs actually tend to be very workaholics. And we also tend to hide our emotions by working. So when we're frustrating, we just dig in deeper instead of waiting for when is the right time for me to do things. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm getting ready to launch something new, and there are times that you can launch things that it will go better than other times, and some people are so impatient about, I thought of this idea, where we got the back end all hooked up and we're ready to go. But I'll give you an example, like birthing new ideas to get out in the world in the dead of winter is a psychologically challenging time because people are in their what would you want to call it? Not their sleep state.
Hibernating.
Hibernate. Yes, they're hibernating, and so they're less inclined. There's no motivation. There's just like, I just want to get what I get done and go home and, nest or something. So now I launch big things in the spring, the summer, or early fall, and I use the winter time to prepare to launch in those times. Um, and these are small little patient levers that you have to have. And even though, as I say this to you, every fiber of my being always wants to launch it, like when everything is in place. Like there's some fear you're going to miss out. But again, it's, we want to hit our prospects. And by the way, your prospects could be your kids, your spouse, your staff. I always joke everybody, we have inside clients and outside clients, and the outside clients are the people, but our inside clients are our family and all that. We really have to look at the timing. So the patience is a brilliant suggestion on your part.
Yeah, timing. I don't know, there's probably a quote, timing is everything. You probably heard that. And it's so true. If we can't trust to wait for the right timing, we can put something out there that just flops because it wasn't in the right timing.
Yes, so we have a lot of real estate people. It's location, location, and location. What do you need to know? Location, location, location.
Yep.
So, there's some real rules that we psychically, I think, want to break occasionally. Okay, so one of the questions I have for you, which after your book, is you really presented a lot of materials in short, very succinct, very easy to read, understandable. And then you left all kind of space for people writing how they felt about it or filling out forms. So why are questions so important to the brain?
If we stay on autopilot and we just do what our marvelous brain does efficiently, we can live Groundhog's Day over and over and over. It's the same thing. And what kind of a life would that be? But those of us who are on a personal development journey, who are serving others at a high level, and who need to, well, we never need to do anything, but who aspire to grow and take things to the next level and the next, and in a way that everything expands, right? Like we're in a universe that's expansive. And so self-reflection is really important. And if we're going to make some minor changes that could have big impact on us, and that book's got 52 weekly readings, but you don't need to make over your brain 52 weeks with 52 different things. You can find one or two gems, and one mindset change, one light bulb moment could be so transformative that you get a new perspective. You take something in a different direction. For some people can be like an instant moment of clarity. And when you can tune into what's right for you rather than mass thinking or the way you were brought up with generational conditioning and programming and all that stuff that wasn't yours, that we've worked so hard to disassemble, now you need to fill things up. You need to replace what hasn't worked with something that will. And so happiness, laughter, being able to deal with your emotions in ways that are effective, all of the things that connect you to you and other people in healthier ways is what I found is where like the magic of life is.
I concur. So I also believe that questions are important. I have some programs on intuition, And I believe that our intuition is stimulated by the questions we ask ourselves. And so, intuition comes from many places, but it comes from a lot from experiences. And from my research, um, most of the material that we've been exposed to is somehow recorded and with our five senses in our brain. And when we ask that question, our brain actually goes into a search mode for that. We'll call it a file,
Mhm.
and that file folder. And so we do it all the time. We're talking to people and we'll say, oh, and it's so and so's name, and I can't think of his name at the second. And the harder you try, the name won't come, because you just get stuck, because you're telling yourself, I cannot remember this name. So you're giving your brain the direction not to remember the name. And if we'll just relax for a few seconds, say, oh, it'll come to me, it'll pop up any second, and then just move on. And then in such a short time, that name comes forth. But the reason I wanted to ask you about questions, because you really have very profound questions in your book. And as I was reading your book, it's a lot of, as I read your information, I remember thinking, this reminded me of, and remembering that. And I thought the questions really were very helpful in navigating emotions, like, why am I feeling this way? Or what has happened to me in my life that I would feel such offense over such a small thing, or things like that. So I'm a big believer that questions actually go into our conscious and subconscious mind, and they bring up things for us to pay attention to be aware of. What are your thoughts on that?
If we don't have some stimulus, like reading a book that shows us either a reflection of ourselves or brings up a memory or a thought, then we wouldn't know the impact that it continues to have on us. So it's really powerful to have some self reflection or be exposed to something or some new people. Kind of like if I remember being a new mom way back when, when my kids were really little, and I'd go to another mom's house, and so she had this one woman. She had two daughters, and one was a couple years older than my daughter, who I think was like a year old, maybe or two. And I just watched how she interacted with her, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I want to remember to do that with my child because I didn't have a frame of reference for how to do something different. And so we can learn from each other. We can learn from our past. We can look at things and say, well, I definitely don't want to do that again, but what do I want to do? And that's where we need to take in some self reflection so that we can be open to new ways of doing things.
Yes, I completely, that whole frame of reference. So people who are going to enjoy our interview are, really lifetime learners, and they're hungry. They're always hungry for that little edge, that little bit of effort that they could exert, that, makes and allows them to achieve all of their targets and the things that they want to achieve in life. So, before we end today, I'd love to just let you share with us any kind of advice you would like to give our entrepreneurial group today, about just how they can literally transform their life with, um, this new thought process.
I think the biggest advice that I could give is don't be fooled by everything that you think is the right thing for you, because it's what's been familiar, not necessarily comfortable, but familiar. And familiar doesn't always mean it's a good thing. We could be in a relationship with someone who, like, we're button heads. Could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be a friendship. but it's familiar. It's got enough glue of familiarity. It's like, no, I can handle this. But do you want to just handle it? No, you want to be able to feel good every day. And if you could, which brings me to the fourth topic of mental resilience, I want to go back to that we didn't cover is optimism. So being optimistic is having a disposition or tendency to look on the more favorable side of events or conditions and expect the best outcome. So if we can expect a good outcome, the best, why not think about the best outcome? Like, what are we waiting for? That would be living life in a way that's satisfying and fulfilling and joyful and happy. And that's going to be a game changer. If you could feel that personally, take that into your business, work with your clients, go speaking, whatever it is that you do. Coming from that place, I don't think you could go wrong.
Also, that's a great leadership tip because most business owners and entrepreneurs tend to be natural leaders. And it's extremely important as a natural leader that we are displaying the examples that are positive, to not only ourselves, but to the world. And that a lot of young people have grown up in very dysfunctional, let's put it nicely, dysfunctional environments. They've never seen examples of a leader that, yes, we have a problem and we're going to sit down and calmly figure out how to handle it and look for what we learned here and not be throwing people under the bus and shaming them and things like that. I always want to remind all of us that their eyes are always on us. And that when I do speak to business owners in large venues, I always say, remember, when your hand touches the doorknob of your office, and today that could be the Zoom control. But anyway, when your energy field touches your people, have you cleared yourself? Have you put yourself in a good mood? Have you, really cleared that they're not picking up that you're scared or you're mad or any of those things, because they will adapt your energy for the day. And if your energy is pensive and down and upset, they will mirror that. So yes, optimism is an absolute must in life. And fortunately for entrepreneurs, we're pretty optimistic that, we're going to figure it out. In my office, we always, when we get befuddled by a problem, I will jokingly say, even though we don't have an answer at this second, we will find an answer to this. This is the fact that there's a problem, there is an answer. And we are smart. We can figure this out. So that makes everybody laugh. And we do every single time.
And what's under that, I love it, because what you're really saying is, I believe that we will figure this out. I trust that we will figure this out. And the people who are in survival mode don't have belief and trust and faith in themselves or others to the level that they can, like, securely and with conviction say, it's gonna get worked out.
That's
Like,
right.
without a shadow of a doubt, you have belief and trust.
Well, I always have a belief in trust, to be transparent, because I believe in myself. And
Mhm.
no matter what bad things have happened in my life, and trust me, we don't have time to talk about those, but been a lot. I always say to myself, well, I have myself. I'm smart. I can figure things out. I have resources. I have people I can go to. I have counsel, people I can ask advice, and I can figure this out. Um, so I have noticed over my many years of doing this that getting in front of people and actually telling them this gives them this sense of hope and optimism, and somebody needs to tell them they can do it, because their self-talk has said so long, I cannot do it. I'm afraid to be alone in this. I'm afraid to make a decision, kind of thing. Well, Phyllis, this has been fantastic. Would you please share with our audience how everyone can find you?
My website is probably the best way, and it's my name, phyllisginsberg.com.
Smart lady. You got it.
Branding yourself is the way to go, I think. Well,
Yes.
for me, that's what I chose.
And okay, and so talk to us really quick about your new book that's coming out, because I think that that would be fun to interview for. So just show us that.
Yeah, so I just got proof copy last night of Empowered You, Free Yourself from Generational Conditioning to Unleash Confidence, Happiness, and Resilience.
And I take it that this will be available very shortly.
In March.
Okay. All right. So, well, I want to thank you so much, Phyllis. You have been absolutely delightful. I do want to recommend to everyone Brain Makeover, not just because it's a great book, but because it's actually going to push you to ask a lot of questions to yourself. So you can't lie to yourself. You might try to lie to yourself, but you can't lie to yourself. And, I recommend this book highly. So I hope you will go there. So Phyllis, thank you so much. And, we appreciate it, and we hope to interview you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Okay, folks, this is the Blonde Warrior, Lee Milteer, and we are going to call it a wrap. I do recommend Phyllis's book, Brain Makeover. I think you will really, really like this book. And folks, don't forget that you have ability to get a $100 free gift from me. It's called the 5 Types of Energy. And you go to FIVE typesofenergy.com. There will be one video per day sent to you. It will be a video, they're 5 minutes long, on mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial energy. It will really assist you in controlling the currency that you use every single day. Don't forget, please like and share my show here on Grassroots Warrior Network here on Rumble. We'd be so appreciative. See you next week.